I'm Glenn Weinzimmer, and let's queer up LGBTQ health. Why partner violence remains less recognized in LGBTQ plus relationships. Writing in Psychology Today, licensed therapist Katie Giles examines why intimate partner violence in LGBTQ plus relationships remains underreported, less recognized, and profoundly misunderstood. Despite federal data from the CDC showing that lesbian, gay, and bisexual adults experience rates of physical abuse equal to or higher than heterosexual peers, systematic barriers often prevent survivors from seeking help or leaving abusive situations. Abusers in queer relationships may exploit distinct vulnerabilities, such as threatening to out a partner to employers, family, or custody judges, or weaponizing societal biases against them. Additionally, survivors frequently hesitate to seek support out of fear of facing discrimination from law enforcement or out of concern that speaking out might further stigmatize the broader LGBTQ plus community. Addressing these dangerous dynamics, Gillis emphasized, quote, the greatest barriers LGBTQ survivors face often aren't just abusive partners, there's a system that fails to recognize and support them, end quote. The analysis highlights a critical mandate. Domestic violence shelters, legal systems, and healthcare providers must expand tailored trauma-informed resources to ensure queer survivors are recognized, validated, and protected. I think this is a great story because I believe, just from personal experience, not for myself, but people that I know that have been in relationships where you come to find out that one is abusive physically and mentally. And this goes back to like I don't want to report it because I don't want to be in the news. I don't want a negative story about LGBT in Wilton Manors, for example, where we see the largest, that it'll become the thing that we are more violent people. And so I think you're dealing with a bunch of psychology issues to both on a personal level, on a relationship level, on a community level, and how do you go to a safe space to get the guidance and support? Because we have a lot of organizations here in our community, and I'm sure a lot of them do some of that. I just don't know if everyone knows that's a resource to go to.
Right. You know? And we have so much fear anyway, and so much shame that was imposed anyway. So most of us spend our lives working through that and getting rid of that. So there's this other layer of how I've negotiated all this oppressive stuff against me is that I've excelled at everything. Well, what if I have entered this relationship and I failed at this relationship? I can't afford to fail. We have to be perfect at everything, or because they hate us anyway. Or like you said, I don't want to give the mean people any ammunition. It's like, oh, see, they don't even like each other and they're dangerous. They shouldn't be around, our people or whatever. But then also, I also think there's just shame that. I am trying to be perfect, and I'm trying to, show what a good queer is, blah, blah, blah. And meanwhile, I have this dysfunction and heartache and abuse going on in my own home. So I think it's multi-layered, but the bottom line is also, no one should ever hit you. And certainly no one should ever hit you a second time. Because after the first time, they have to go. So your safety, while we're talking about pride and self-esteem, you deserve to be safe, especially in your own home. So, I know there's lots of reasons why, but value your safety above all.
Yeah. And there's this there's also a security thing. You look at straight relationships, that's being told you're not good enough. You're lucky to have me. No one else would want you. So that still plays in our community as well as it does in the heterosexual community, where a lot of women don't come forward because they're being abused, because they've been told that they'll never get anything better. This is the best job you can get. I know people that have been treated that way in our community, in the LGBT community, in organizations where they say, well, if you leave here, I'll see to it that you never work anywhere else. And it's real. What?
That is abuse also.
It is abuse. It was mental abuse. And I have had many conversations with a couple of people that are sort of leaders in our state, and the relationship they're in with their boss who threatens them like that. And I'm like, they can't do that to you. You're so talented. No, but they said. And you're like, yeah, you've been brainwashed because anyone would hire you in a half a second.
Sure. I often hear about the violence that people experience from their family, homophobia. I don't really hear many LGBTQ people talking about partner violence, intimate partner violence. I do know that several organizations in South Florida specifically support our community with resources, but Survivors Pathway in Miami is one of the very few organizations that I know that actually does research and studies on it. And I would just like to see that be more common, because I think violence, unfortunately, is just normalized, and it's in every culture. There isn't one group that's more violent than the other. And I think we're also desensitized to abuse because it's so commonplace. Many of us don't even know that we're experiencing it.
Right. And in Broward County, there's an organization called Sunshine Social Services, SunServe for short. In fact, SunServe is what they're known as. Look them up. Because if they don't have the service, they are connected to other people. They've got therapists, they've got caseworkers, they've got life coaches, and so they can help you at least with how to process it, and they may can even hook you up with some legal help. So do get help. There is help.
Yeah. And you correct me because I don't know. 211 is another resource. I don't know how well it's resourced to our community.
Mm-hmm.
I know that the head of it is an LGBT person. So I'm sure that's also a place you can reach out to get direction to where to go for that kind of abuse.
And the Fort Lauderdale and Milton Manors police departments are both very LGBTQ friendly. They have LGBTQ liaisons.
And they do training, sensitivity training.
So they're not, if you live in one of these two towns, at least, you don't have to be afraid to call the police also. Well, there's no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by sharing them and subscribing to Queer News Tonight.